Yo, what's up everybody? Valve just announced 2 new heroes, and I want to give you guys a little bit of an analysis on what I think they'll do, and how they'll play, and what their abilities are, and all of that. Now, it's kind of an interesting situation, because we have 2 entirely different sets of information on the 2 heroes. The first set of information is for the Pangolin dude, which is not an armadillo, it's a pangolin, according to Reddit at least. But anyway, the Pangolin dude doesn't have a name yet, but we have a trailer for how he plays, kind of, right? Like, we kind of see what he does, and we can kind of make some assumptions based on that. The second lady, you can see she's on the screen right now, she does not have a trailer like that. What we have on her are ability names, which is quite interesting as well. So let's start out with the Pangolin dude. The first thing they show us in the trailer is his high mobility. He obviously has some sort of cliff jumping ability, since they show him jumping from a cliff to another cliff and then from a cliff to the low ground. They also show him having some sort of dash while going up against the bristleback. Now, I'll be surprised if those are 2 separate abilities. I do not think that this hero will have some sort of dashing ability as well as some sort of cliff jumping ability, at least in the sense of an active one. It could be that the cliff jumping is a passive thing, which would be really cool, right? So this is a hero that every X seconds on like a passive cooldown can jump up and down cliffs, you know, in some sort of stylish, fancy fashion. And then the dash is some sort of active component to that ability. You click it and you dash into a direction, gain some invincibility frames or something like that, which is actually something I've been wanting to implement into my custom game Open Angel Arena. But anyway, I like that dash, I find that really cool. I do like the cliff jumping as well. These are 2 very important things for a melee carry, since if you do want to be able to click on people, you do need mobility. Without mobility, it's just not doable. So this kind of points towards the hero being a melee carry, as well as the entire rest of the trailer and his behavior, right? I think it's a pretty safe assumption that he's gonna be some sort of physical DPS. Again, I don't believe this cliff jumping and the dash are 2 separate abilities. It's just not really good hero design to use 2 skill slots for 2 very similar mobility spells. Not only that, but they've also shown that they are very willing to just give a hero a passive or even an active that is just like an inbuilt hero thing, like for example with Monkey King. Or that they are perfectly okay with putting, you know, 2 similar abilities into 1 skill slot, like Morphling or Monkey King, you know, the last hero they released. It's also looking like this mobility tool will be charge based, seeing as once he goes up against the bristleback, he actually first dashes away from him and then dashes behind him before he does his break ability. Now we'll get to that right now. So this is the thing everybody is freaking out over. They show him cutting off bristleback's bristleback. Which, yes, of course, this is very powerful. It shows that he has a break ability. I feel like it doesn't really get much clearer than that. However, I want to point you guys towards something else. Because this hero, in just the scene before that, first he takes off one of the creep's underwear, or their under armor. Get where I'm going with this. And then he defeats a creep in one-on-one sword combat, at the end of which their sword gets thrown into the air and stabs themselves, or he disarms them. So I don't think the hero will have a singular break ability. That is just too one-dimensional for a hero. That just doesn't work, right? That would essentially mean this hero, while going up against a team that has no notable passives, which is not uncommon, right? That can very much happen. Then this hero just has 3 abilities, which is terrible hero design. So I don't think this is going to be just a break ability. Instead, it might be rotation based, right? It first removes armor from the opponent, then it disarms them, and then it breaks them. Or maybe it does all 3 effects, or maybe it does effects on 3 targets, you know, in like some weird order. I don't know how exactly this is going to play out, but what I do know is that there's no way this is just a break. It is not. This is an ability that probably includes minus armor. I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that it also includes Disarm. Now, if we think about it this way, disarming, breaking, and minus armoring your opponent is very powerful, right? That is actually really, really strong. Not only is that a strong ability just in general, but it's actually fantastic for a right-click carry, because you can't fight him, right? If you're playing a Phantom Assassin, you're going up against somebody that takes away your armor, then disarms you, and then breaks away your passives, how are you going to win that? Well, you won't. So this seems like a very powerful ability. And again, if this is just a break, I would be very surprised. That is just not good design. Now let's go towards his ultimate. At the end of the trailer, they show what I believe is his ultimate. He throws his sword forward, it gets stuck in a tree, which ends up being secretly Monkey King, which is kind of funny. I do think that's mostly a joke though. But it also seems to me like there might be a connection with him hitting a tree or not. Honestly, I do think that part of it is just supposed to be funny. They do that, right? It's not always supposed to be incredibly accurate. But then he turns into his little ball and he rolls forward, stunning and pushing away any creeps in the path, and then landing in a location, obviously dealing damage there, and stunning the Magnus he lands on top of. So, what is this ultimate? Well, you throw your sword into a location. Not sure if it has to be tree related. I don't think so. I think that was just a joke. So I think you just throw your sword into a location and then the dude turns into a ball, rolls there, stuns everything in the path or just pushes them away, but certainly will do some sort of negative effect to them. And then at the location where he ends up at, he'll stun everybody he lands on top of. I assume the radius won't be very big and he will deal damage to them. This kind of ability can be two different styles in terms of design. It could be something that is incredibly powerful and only used every few minutes, right? So it has a long cooldown. Or it could be something he uses a lot and has a relatively short cooldown and it's just another mobility ability. It has already been shown that they really value mobility on this hero, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see that he has even more mobility coming in with his ultimate. Now you may say, but Balmy, wait, that's only 3 abilities. Now I'll be honest with you guys, I don't think they showed us his 4th ability. I don't think so. Same thing with Monkey King last year. I did an analysis of that too. It was very accurate. I predicted basically everything that they showed in the trailer, but they did not show his passive, so there was no way to predict it. And I think that's the same thing here. I think they show us his mobility with the like dashing around and cliff walking. It could be 2 abilities, I don't believe so, right? They show him disarming, disarmoring, and breaking heroes, and yes, that could be 2 or 3 abilities, could be, I don't really think so, right? And then they show him with the sword and the bouldering forward. Yes, there could again be 2 abilities, but I don't really think so. And other than that, he doesn't really do anything in the trailer. So I don't think they showed us all of his abilities, they only showed us 3 of them, which is perfectly reasonable of them to do. Again, they did the same thing last year. And as such, I believe that's really all we know about the hero at the moment. Personally, I think the hero looks really fun. I'm actually quite excited to play him. I do enjoy playing high mobility heroes. I always think they're really exciting. So I'm looking forward to him, honestly. Like, it just seems like a cool hero. Now, sadly for the second hero, the analysis will be less visual. Because all we have there are names. We have file names. We don't actually have, you know, a trailer. Well, at least much of a trailer. We have a little bit. So about 2 weeks ago, Dr. Jester found some files in the Dota patch that was released on that day. And honestly, they weren't even well hidden. They were like really easy to find. And in those files, well, there was a hero name and there were also ability names. Now the hero name is Sylph and the ability names are Grapple, Shadow Realm, Flash Powder, and Willow Wisp. Now that is really all we know. We can make some assumptions though. So in the trailer we see it's some sort of pixie creature, and that makes perfect sense with, you know, Sylph as the name, because Sylph is a mythological spirit of the air. It has a connection to the woods and the forests, and they also talk about the woods and the forests in the dialogue. So makes perfect sense, right? The 4 abilities, since the name is confirmed, I guess we can assume that the abilities are also pretty accurate, especially since one of them is called Willow Wisp. Now, this Will-O-Wisp is also shown in the trailer, right? It is this little creature in the cage for our Sylph hero. Now, the creature in the cage seems to be something that she can unleash at will. And this is something that is really just an assumption based on nothing, right? Again, we don't have any more information than the names Grapple, Shadow Realm, Flash Powder, and Will-O-Wisp. But I think this hero may be a dual hero. Similar to like the Ice Climbers in Smash Bros. Where it's not really just one hero, but the hero has like a dual thing that comes along. Now, I don't expect that thing to be controllable. It's just something that works in sync with the hero at all times, that Will-O-Wisp creature. Now, again, this is really based on nothing. I just think this is kind of an archetype that Dota 2 is somewhat missing. Like, we have some similar things, but we don't really have something like this exactly. And it is something that is cool and is seen in a lot of games. And I really feel like Dota is actually trying to fill out some archetypes right now. For example, the Monkey King, which is very much an archetype that a lot of different games have. So the Will-O-Wisp could be just like an ultimate, you skill, it's a passive. And then you have this like secondary creature that enhances all of your spells and your abilities and kind of fights on its own, but under your control to a certain extent. Kind of an NPC unit. Maybe. Doesn't have to be, would be kind of cool. But yes, then we have Grapple, so that could be some sort of holding ability. I don't think it's a mobility spell. This hero does seem more like a support. So, you know, it's probably something that will hold people in place as opposed to using it as like a hook or a timber chain, right? We have Shadow Realm. This could be some sort of banishing effect, similar to the OD, Astral Imprisonment, or the Shadow Demons, Disruption. Could be something like that. Could also be something that restricts vision. That's actually something I think might be more plausible, because we do already have two of these like banishment type of effects, and it's probably not going to be, you know, another one of the same. I just don't think that's going to happen, because what else can you really do with it? So maybe it like restricts vision in some sort of way. Again, it's just based on a name, but also kind of makes a little bit of sense to me. It's not something we have too much, right? Like you click on a single hero and they can't see anything anymore. Then we have Flash Powder. Might be, again, a vision-based ability. I don't know. Again, at this point, we're just speculating. We're just making stuff up. And yeah. So let me go ahead and talk about what I think about this announcement in general. I am very excited to have two new heroes. I'm very pissed off that we have no updates for 8 months and then they show up with two heroes at once. Why not release one of them like 4 months ago so we actually have some fucking content once in a while? Why do you have to release both of them in the same patch? Especially since there's no announced date for this patch yet, which makes me think it's fucking December again. Right? So we have a full year before anything happens. Why not split this up? Why not make it so, okay, first we've got the Armadillo Pangolin dude, and then we get Sylph. Why do we need both of them at once? You're just not properly using the hype, and now this seems like I'm upset over them, you know. Oh my god, Barmy, why would she even care? Because it's harmful to content creation, and something that's harmful to content creation is harmful to the game. You need to understand this. In this day and age, content creation is really, really important to keeping a game alive. And they are just not doing anything to help content creators with this stuff. If they just released the guy first and then Sylph later, or the other way around, people would have something to work with. But if you only release a single patch a year, and by the way, I'm talking about significant content patches, right? I'm not talking about balance patches. I know they release balance patches, and balance patches are great, but they are not content. They are not a content patch. And if you only release a single significant content patch a year, of course people will stop playing your game, right? Especially since that single content patch will be so overwhelming that people are just like, yeah, you know what, fuck this. Lots of people stop playing Dota 7.0 because they're just like, oh shit, well, this was just too much for me. I don't know, it's frustrating to me. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think the new heroes are going to do. Always happy to have a little bit of discussion going on. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a rating on the video. Would definitely appreciate that. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow.